Welcome everybody to the show. Let me just do this very, very quickly. Okay, cool. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Wednesday to y'all. So today I've got a special guest here. I got a full-time musician who's been playing with a few bands that we all know. And I think it'd be a very interesting chat, learning about his history, how he got into music, how he ended up where he's at right now, playing with Smash Mouth and Enrique Iglesias and all these folks. And yeah, so without further ado, I would like to welcome Sean Hurwitz. Hey, man, how are you?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
It's going well, man. It's going well. Let me just say quickly hello to a few folks and we'll get right into it.
By
Jay
all
Steen
means.
is with us. James Severin, welcome. Vandy Man, who provided me with your info, so thanks for that. Jason Medievic, CK is with us. Alexander Rocker, Dan in New Jersey. Okay, cool. I think I got everybody. So, Mr. Rock, how are you? Paul Guitar Music 2, Russ Markhart, Terry Harms. Now they all start rolling in.
Hey,
Welcome,
what's up?
everybody. Welcome to the show. All right, so Sean, so
Yes.
I've read a little bit about your background, and you started off actually not in the U.S., but you started off in Israel. So let's start at the beginning. So what? Well, let's start about what got you involved with music, or what piqued your interest in guitar playing to begin with back in Israel.
First of all, I want to say happy belated birthday on air.
Oh, thank you, thank
And
you very much.
yeah. And like yourself, you said you're East Coast Canada. Well, my parents are from East Coast, from New York. And they, in the late 70s, they moved to Israel. They're Jewish, and they just felt like that's where they belong.
Right,
And that's it, man. They went there, had a family, and they are they. I had both. I had both of their guitars, Epiphone acoustics, in at home. They barely used them, but they were always around, and they were in
right,
terrible shape, just terrible shape. Just strings like a mile off the neck. The action was terrible. It's very, very hard to play. But that's how I started. Listening to my parents' music, Clapton, some Hendrix, Little Beatles. Man,
oh,
Tom
okay,
Petty. Tom Petty was huge.
wow,
So many different. Some I don't remember everyone, but Clapton and Petty were a couple of the big ones. That's
right,
how I got
right.
into it.
All right, so that piqued your, and it's funny when you mention the guitar with like, the action. And I think everybody started with that same guitar. It's like nobody started with a nice guitar. Everybody started with this like abomination of an instrument. It's kind
And
of funny.
I think it's important to an extent. I mean, until it demoralizes you, then it's like, what a bummer. But if you start off with something that's hard and then you get an electric, ah,
Yeah,
you're
it's
just
like
like, oh my
butter.
God, it's so easy to play.
Yeah, yeah. So did you start with lessons? Are you self taught? How did you start learning how to play?
I just started by my father teaching me a few chords,
Oh,
but
okay, cool.
really self-taught, I guess. I did have some lessons here and there. There are two teachers that I can think of that I studied a little with. One was more on the jazz side, which I never went into, but that was his direction. And then one that was more on the shredding side, which again I did not go into. I'm more of a Clapton slow hand, if you don't mind me saying so. I'm not
Yeah,
Clapton, but that's my style. Melodic slow hand. That's my thing. Feel.
right. Right. Yeah. 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 It's interesting because I mean, and you're a younger guy, and usually it's the guys your age are usually the more shreddy type, and the older guys like me are the slow hand sort of more melodic type. But I guess it's because of you were exposed to the slow hand early on that kind of imprinted itself on you.
I'll tell you what it is. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, any one of you, but I think that if you were a teenager trying to impress the girls in the 80s, even if it was the late 80s, and even if it was 88, you had hair bands, you had shred going on, you had all that
Yeah.
stuff. I
Right.
didn't. In Israel, we didn't have that. We didn't even have loisir music, like American, European music until like we just had Israeli music for the most part until 91 or 92 when we got cable
Wow.
and MTV Europe. And then it was just like,
Boom. Yeah. Yeah.
so even though I wasn't a teenager in the 80s, I was a teenager in the 90s. So for me, probably I would have been more influenced by Nirvana. But again, I think that had I been born, I was born in 79. Had I been born in 75 and I had American hair music in the 80s, you would have been looking at a shredster.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense, right? So and it's always interesting that whatever music is around when you start first picking the instrument, that's sort of
Mhm.
what you take on as an identity, for lack of a better term. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so how old are you when you start sort of playing and getting to a point where, hey, you know what, I'd really like to maybe form a band and maybe even try to play a few shows? What age are we
Um,
looking at there? And are we still in Israel?
we're still in Israel. I'm
Okay.
11 years old, and my dad just showed me some chords. I tried to play on the heavy, heavy action with strings from the 60s. And
Yeah.
I honestly don't think they changed them since the 70s. Man. I think they
Right.
came with strings with guitars, and that was it, man.
That was
They were
it.
probably, so I was 11, 90, 91 ish, 90. Those strings were probably 12, 13, 14 years old. And the action was as well. So I gave up really fast. But then I came back to it. Like I said, cable came in, the music videos came in. I'm watching these cool guys walk down the street
Yeah.
playing these ripping solos. I'm just like, man, you can get chicks like this. So I'm 13, and I decided, okay, I'm getting back into it. And that was the age when I decided, yes. And just to answer CK, it's not a coffee mug. It's a lot of water. I drink a lot of water, but it is like a 7-Eleven
Yeah,
big
that's massive.
gulp. It is. I just drink a
Plus,
lot
it's
of
a
water, so I don't
workout.
want to keep going back for water. So this is it. L'chaim.
That's, that's cool. That's cool. So what was your first good guitar?
I mean, my first electric guitar that my parents got me, a Yamaha Pacifica, kind of Strat looking.
Yeah, I know exactly
You
what
know
that.
it?
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah,
one
very
where
well.
like it would have the like it had the pick guard until here, and then here it was like just a black humbucker or something like that. Or I don't remember, but it was just a black and white Yamaha Pacifica,
Hmm.
and that was my first guitar, which I had for a long time.
Right. So are you how old are you when you start to do the band thing or try to get into a band or
I want to say probably 15. I was religious. I left the religion. Yamaha Pacifica from Costco. I remember that company. They were in Costco. Really?
that I didn't know.
Damn.
That I maybe in
Um.
the US.
So yeah. I'm sorry. Where were we?
The band. When did
The
the band
band.
start?
So I probably 15. You know what? No, no, no. It was 13 because I just
Oh
got into
wow.
high school, and I got introduced by a couple of friends to Metallica,
Oh yeah.
and almost the same as Metallica, Led Zeppelin. No, no, I'm just kidding. But so Metallica and Led Zeppelin, I got introduced by two different people,
Right.
and that was my first gig. We were playing Stairway to Heaven, but I was just playing rhythm. I didn't have
Hmm.
that, and I was very jealous of Ariel, the guy that could play that solo. I was
The
just like,
solo.
man, I was super jealous. To this day, still jealous. A very, very talented guy.
Right, right. Well, that gives you something to aspire to, right? I want to be able to do what that guy's doing, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Some people get inspired, like, I'm gonna do that better than him. And I was just like, man, okay, fine. Like it just depressed me. I was like, I can't, I'm never gonna be able to do that. But as time shows, I could do that. So just a
Yeah,
matter
yeah.
of
Yeah, and so that was the start of, I mean, again, you're a little younger than me, so I don't know. My time it was like when because I'm self-taught, it was literally slowing down the record and moving the needle? Like, how did you start? Okay, figuring out the notes and kind of the scales, and then buying books. Remember books?
Yeah, yeah. I
It was
still
like
have
books
still
and the
have them. Yeah.
needle. Learning those scales and that. So
So
how was your?
so I didn't grow up with record player. Tapes was what we had.
Okay, cassettes. Yeah.
Hey, Guitar Man 45. What's up, guys? Um,
Hey guys.
I think I ended up having some kind of. I had a 4-track, and I think I may have used the 4-track in some kind of elaborate way to
Nice.
slow down the track, or it may have been built in, but I could do it. What's up, guys? So yeah, somehow I did it, and I learned tracks. But to this day, okay. So let me ask you something. Let me who can tell me? Let me see if I remember how to play this. Right, I remember it in my mind, but who remembers that? It's a part in a song that goes on and on and on. It's this bridge. Do you
Right.
recognize it?
No, actually I don't.
So let's see if anyone does. No, probably not. So one of the bands that I kind of fell in love with at the time, was a real fan of, was Bon Jovi
Oh,
and
okay.
Richie Sambora. So for me, I didn't know Bon Jovi existed in the 80s. I just got their reunion.
Oh,
I got
okay.
I got their album Keep the Faith when they were done touring, and then they came back. But I didn't know. I was like, who are these guys? So for me, it was like their first. And then I found out they had a few other amazing albums. But so I learned there was in Keep the Faith, the bridge. Richie's just going. Um,
Yeah.
And I drove my parents crazy with that shit because, and you all know what I'm talking about, you try to get it clean like that.
Mm.
And you try to get that vibrato, and you
Yeah.
don't know what delay is. You just hear it on a record, but you don't know what delay is. You're just hearing it like, and you playing it super awkward and shit. But that was basically it. That was me learning, and of course, sorry about that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
things
Eric
like
Clapton.
that
Yeah.
exactly. That's so it was learning stuff like that really drove my parents crazy. But that's how I learned to play.
Wow, it's painstaking when you're doing it that way, though, man. But
Oh my
at the
god.
same time, it's such a feeling of satisfaction when you get that part down. It's like, what a rush! I can actually play this part.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So this is you on the Pacifica. This is you through what kind of amps did you have back to start off with?
I had a Digitech RP10 or RP100. I want to say it's an
Okay.
RP10 at that point, is my effects board that we brought back. We smuggled into Israel from America. We went to visit people we went to visit folks in when I was 13. Yeah, went 13 and 14 at that point. Went to visit folks in and in New York. They take us to Sam Ash. My
Oh wow.
mind explodes.
I was gonna say that must be a hell of a yeah.
Dude, when you come in from a store in Israel that has I don't know, probably the amount of guitars that I have here, 20 something guitars, that's their arsenal. That's what
Yeah.
they have. That's that's what they have to sell. So when you go from that and you walk into Sam Ash, you can imagine, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I went to New York City a few years ago, and I went to, I don't know if it was I think it might have been there's one right in Manhattan downtown by their art center or something. And I mean, I'm in Canada. We got guitar stores here, but when I walked there, I'm looking around and I'm like a grown man. I'm like, holy shit. They got
Yeah.
so much more here. And all these brands that I've never seen in a store here, like Zematis,
Yep.
GNLs. The first time I ever saw a Black Star amp was in that store. It's like, so I kind of
Oh
know
my
that, but for you, it's even a bigger transition. Yeah, that's
Right.
crazy, man.
Um, they ended up getting me. We ended up getting like a small transistor, not a tube amp or anything like that, but just a small amp. Back then, it wasn't an amp with effects or tuners. It was just an amp,
Right,
which
right.
had a distortion channel, and I think that was my first distortion ever. Finally, I wasn't going. I wasn't doing like this. Finally,
Yeah,
I had some drive, right?
sustain. Yeah,
So, and then suddenly it's like, wow, okay, this sounds more like what I'm hearing. You get excited, you get more into it. So the RP10, I was using delays from there and just dove right into effects. And yeah, I mean, I can keep going and
yeah.
tell you
Keep
about
going.
bands and stuff. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do
I,
chronological, man.
I think my first band was like a punk band called Hamapecha, The Revolution.
Right.
And I remember coming from Clapton, which doesn't use a lot of effects, but Pink Floyd. How can I forget that? Pink Floyd, Tom Petty, they still, and Sambora, Bon Jovi, they still have effects. It might not be mind blowing. Oh my God, listen to all that ping pong delay and stuff.
Right, right, right.
But there's a wah wah, right? And
Yeah.
there's some delay. There's verbs. There's beautiful echoes. There's some compression when he's playing certain things. But I didn't know about any of that, or I knew some of that, and then I got into it with the RP10, and then I got into a punk band, and the punk band was rock. That was it. It was just push the distortion on, don't need anything else.
No solos, nothing.
Well, no, you had some solos, but the point is that it was a very young band, and there wasn't much. It was more like it was more like that's it.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It wasn't the finesse, right? So I grew up kind of Pink Floyd, Clapton, Sambora. I was used to that. I was trying to get this finesse, and then I enjoyed the punk stuff a lot. But I remember thinking, I feel like we should bring more production in here, more layering, more. Maybe I don't play the exact same thing in the bridge. Maybe I play the chords, but with some kind of delay, arpeggiated something. But we didn't do that. And then I remember we played this small place, probably 20, 30 people in Teatron Pagod, the Pagod Theater in Jerusalem. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, there was a band called Babe from Tel Aviv that came to Jerusalem to open for us. They were incredible. I was so bummed that after that, we're about to go on and because it was so produced. They were so much more mature as a band, as a production. You know, it wasn't the lighting, it wasn't the sound. It was those guys sounded great on stage. The dynamics, the effects, the layering, it was all the harmonies. It was all there. And then we went on and rocked a punk show. Now, got to go up and do the show. But I remember I was just like, okay, that's it. We're adding some stuff after this. We need it. And at that point, they agreed with me. And so we started adding more and more layers, and I started playing around with effects and stuff like that. And I'll end it right there. Please ask me any questions if you'd like.
Well, let me just say this. So, folks, if you've got questions for Sean, pop them into the chat and tag me. You could also tag Sean because he is also in the chat, and we'll be able to see the questions right away and go from there. Cool.
Like the 44-gallon drinking drinking cup. I saw that one. If you still have hair,
spike it out. Yeah.
So someone says Rack Gear is making a comeback. Which Rack Gear? I'm interested. How
Yeah,
many
there's
ounces is this mug? I think this is about a. I want to say it's 50 something. I don't even know if it says it on it because they don't want to scare people when they're getting this much Slurpee or whatever. I think it's around 50. How long do you rehearse for a song? Great question. I'm assuming we're talking about a live song, and
yeah.
I'm assuming we're talking about rock and pop because that's my genre. If you hit me with some jazz stuff, it's gonna take me longer. But when I go into work on a song, just me, because I want to come to rehearsal prepared with everything, I'll take a good. I mean, it could take me 5 minutes to learn it, but I'll take the time to learn the basics, and then I'll take the time to dial in all the sounds to
The
where they're as
tones, yeah.
close as I can, and then I'll ask, do you want me to learn the solos verbatim, or do you want me to just do my thing? And they'll be like, just do your thing, or yes, learn exactly like that. So it could take longer, it could take shorter, but anywhere from 5 minutes to a day. I mean, if it's a really complicated song.
Yeah. 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 All right, so you're in the punk band, and so how long does that band go for, and how far do you guys evolve before that?
Well, in Israel, the army stops everything. So although I did not serve, I went and studied sound engineering instead. That was kind of the end of that band. Let me
Okay.
see. Never been a biggest Smash Mouth fan, but it's really cool hearing Sean's story. I'm gonna have to check out his YouTube and there's some interesting videos in his backlog. Yeah,
There
man,
you go.
got some cool stuff there. Would you modify your playing after your vocal singer requirements if there are any? Yes, absolutely, because I'm there to serve the song. I'm there to serve the artist. Now, if it's a band that I'm part of, I may have more to say. If I'm a hired gun, let's say with Smash Mouth or with Enrique, if I'm just coming to do a job, hell yeah, tell me what to do. That's what I'm there for. That's my job. So to get back to your punk question, the Israel, right? Like I said, the army, it kind of tends to stop things for 3 years. So whatever
Mm.
growth people do at that point gets halted, and you get brought down to being zero, nothing, and then brought up to be a soldier. And then when you leave, you can go back to what you did. You usually don't. You usually become something completely different. So that's sort of when it ended. I probably played in that band from when 15 to 18, because I think at that point the youngest guy was starting his army stuff.
Right, right. So you went to study sound engineering. Did you, or do you even now incorporate that into what you do? Like, or did you work
100%.
at that? Eh?
100%. I incorporated it in everything. First of
Okay.
all, I'm a producer and I make music nonstop for TV and film for licensing.
Oh,
So
awesome.
the goal is, I'm not saying I've hit this, but the goal is 200 songs a year, 200 cues a year, so instrumentals, if you will, not
Mm.
full songs but full with vocals, but full production. Actually, sometimes there are vocals, but it's more like hey, hey, it's not going to be like a lyrical. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
lyrical content. So yes, I produce. I use all of that, and every time I audition, I use all that knowledge. It was learning about compression, learning about delays, about feedback, about speakers, about acoustics, about radio,
Mm-hmm.
about TV, about all that stuff was a huge benefit for me, and still is a huge benefit for me in my environment. It is.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
cool, man. That's cool.
So I see we've got someone asked, whammy bar or vibrato? Yes. Why not both? Is there ever a solo that you can't copy exactly? Absolutely. Any shred solo, man, I'm gonna suck at it. I'm gonna suck at it. That's not my thing. Not too long ago, actually it was long ago. It's like 2 years ago. I had to learn the man, I'm gonna butcher this. The right? Whatever that is, Journey.
Oh, shit.
Was it? So who is that? Did I play the right notes though? Yeah, I
It's
did. I think
Stone. It's Stone in Love.
No, 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 no. It's their famous one.
Don't Stop Believing.
Yes, that's it. So, I mean, I just had to play that for the first time in my life, and I'm not good at it. I mean, I faked my way through it. Um, yeah, Don't Stop Believing. There we go.
Don't Stop Believing. Everybody's got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not an easy riff to play, man. And if anyone can play that really well, I mean, I actually hit up some of my friends that play in cover bands, and I was like, dude, how are you playing this? Like, what are you picking? What are you hammering on and pulling off? What's the position? And you know what? Every person I asked, 3 people had different ways of playing it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm just gonna do whatever I'm gonna do. Yeah, Neil Sean is a badass. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's a shred part, and I wasn't
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
But again, you do the job. It's not the important thing. The important thing is making the faces and meaning it. That's all. Do I like Eddie Van Halen? Of course, I grew up on Van Halen. My first Van Halen solo, which I remember, you asked before. Hack, you asked before if I studied. One of the guys that I studied with, I had maybe 3 sessions with him, you know, where I went to study with him. He asked me what I wanted to learn, and one of them was, I don't know the name of this song, but it's "Dream Another Dream. This dream is over, over." It's I'm not sure if it's called "Dream Another Dream," but it's
Somebody
Van
will
Halen.
know.
It's Van Halen.
It's Sammy Van Halen for
It's
sure.
Sammy Van Halen, yes.
Because I don't know it, so I know the other stuff.
But dude, the funny thing is, it's funny you should say that, because to me, Van Halen was the dream is over. That's what it calls.
Dream is over. There you
go. Was Van Hagar.
Right, right.
I didn't, when I came here, I found out that there was a song called Panama, and I was like, what's that? Because to me, I had never heard that part of Van Halen. I only heard the Hagar years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember I took that solo. So you don't know that solo, but for those who know the solo, The Dream is Over, it's an insane Van Halen solo. And I went and took it to my teacher, and I said, what the hell is he doing? And he did his best to show me, but I couldn't even understand. I mean, he showed me, so I was introduced to tapping. I was introduced to the concept of it, but that guy wasn't in any level to start explaining to me what Van Halen was doing. So no, I love Van Halen, never could figure out what the hell he was playing. Even when I'm looking at him doing it online.
Yeah, you still can't reproduce it. Yeah.
It's like an alien playing, dude. It's just different. You know who I compare it to? This is a completely different musician, but Joe Perry, right? Aerosmith?
Yeah.
His playing is so unique that it's kind of like Eddie. Eddie had a very unique Eddie sound, and the way he played the guitar. And I feel like Perry does the same thing, man. He just the way he approaches the guitar is like, it's not Clapton, it's not Sambora, it's not Stevie Ray Vaughan, it's not anything on Pink Floyd, right? It's not any of that. So Van Halen.
It's funny. Like, I mean, I've been listening to a lot. I'm a huge Rush fan, and been listening to a lot, because I'm preparing for a show I'll be doing in a couple of weeks on Alex Lifeson. And there's another guy that totally comes at you from left field. You know, you know, you can't reproduce what he's doing. I mean, it's just crazy. Some of the leads and stuff that guy's playing, it's unbelievable, man.
Like when you make it your own, you're like, play it close to that, but make it your own. When you make it your own, it sounds nothing like them, because they just have such a unique. It's like they're playing violin and you're trying to copy that onto guitar. They're playing a completely different instrument.
They have their own voice. You know, it's like you know, I grew up. I mean, anybody that knows my channel knows this already. I'm a huge Kiss fan. I grew up a Kiss fan, and Ace Frehley was my guy, right? Mm-hmm. And I still, you know, when I record, because I do original music and stuff on the channel, it's like, oh, I hear a lot of Ace in here playing. I'm stealing his licks, but I cannot play like that. He has a certain attack, a certain vibrato. It's like, you know, it's identifiable. Like, you know, first phrase, I mean, he'll play a lick that you've heard 100 times, but it's him playing it just
Yeah.
by the way he does it. It's like everybody has their own voice on the guitar. And some guys are really good at, copying not just the notes, but the voice. But that's crazy to be able to do it exactly like that. That's what the tribute bands are for, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Those guys.
And I've seen Van Halen tribute bands, and it's I'm just blown away. Like, how could
Yeah.
someone get that close?
Yeah.
Vandy Man wants to know, can you tell us about my boy Vandy Man wants to know about, can you tell us about a couple of the holy shit venues you've played? I'll say that the biggest venue I played was in Kiev with Enrique for 85,000. I don't remember the venue name, but it was an outdoor venue, and it was packed. It was full, 85,000 people, and it was also 30 degrees. Very, very difficult to play.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
hot.
the other one, other than, of course, Madison Square Garden, which is just iconic, and I live in LA, so Staples Center. But other than those, I have to say, going and playing Park Hayilkon Park in Israel, going back to my home country and playing in front of 45,000 people there was pretty intense, man. It's a lot of
That's pretty
fun.
cool. That's pretty
And
cool.
Mr. Rock says, I'm going to steal Sean's licks by all means. Please do.
All right, so let's keep going. So you went to school for sound engineer, and then when did you stay in Israel for a while after that? Did you do that type of work as far as the producing and all that there, or when did you move to the US? When did that all
Yeah,
happen?
that's a good question. So I studied it, and real quick. So I studied it for 2 years, and real quick, about 3 months into it, one of the things that happened was I was studying in a school, and the school said, "Hey guys, if anyone's interested, there are some opportunities for work in the field," and one of them was in Jerusalem, doing live sound. And I said, "Yeah, please, I'm interested." So I started my career, and it was a career for about 6 years in Israel. That it was a successful career, and I would have been doing well now had I not left, but that's okay, right? It worked out here anyway. But I was a sound engineer and backline engineer and lighting engineer there, all moving sound, basically live sound and lighting. Video, we didn't do too much at that time, so it was mainly sound and lighting. So I worked in it all that time. I fell in love with that so much that I really wasn't playing that much, to be honest. And so for me, when I got home after a 24-hour job, I would rest for 2 hours, get on a computer and check out what are the best ways to mic a drum kit. Because I knew that in 2 weeks I had to do that for the first time, and I was fascinated with it. So that was so I wasn't practicing guitar anymore. In my 20s, very early 20s, probably around 21, I got back into music. My mom said to me, and for all the Jews out there, I don't know if there are any Jews, but she said, "Do you really see yourself schlepping gear when you're 35?" And I said, "Yeah," but she's like, she basically said, "You remember you wanted to be a musician, right?" Now I don't know why she said this. Honestly, I never had that conversation with her. Like, what struck?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah.
But that was the ignition, the spark that was just like, yeah, I did want to be a musician. How about that? And then there was a gig that took it to the next level. I was doing sound. I was a sound engineer for a small gig in Israel. My friends were playing. I was on the side of the stage, so I'm right here. My friends are playing. The crowd's there. And I'm looking at my friends playing, and I'm looking at the crowd that are my friends, and I'm looking at my friends playing in the crowd, and I was like, wait a second. I wanted to be on stage. What happened? And then I went and I got myself a Fender Stratocaster that week, and which I still have to this day. It's the only guitar I brought with me from Israel. It was a standard one. Since then, it's gotten a Perloid pickguard and some cool, I forget, Sprizels, I think these are the tuning keys, and a humbucker. I think is a 59 or a JB. Anyway, so I went and I got that, and that was it. And I started doing music again. So then I was doing music again, and a lot of sound engineering. Now
Right.
you had asked how I got to America.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of you have been to Israel. At least in the early 2000s, it's still a hot spot, right? But it's not crazy. But and they've made a lot of progress. But in the early 2000s, it was a bad situation. It was there was what was called the first Intifada, the second Intifada, which was just basically a war, Palestinians against the Jews. It was a guerrilla war. It was like blow up as many people as you can, buses blowing up left and right, stuff like that. I'll get back. Let me see. You got some memorable stories of meeting fellow guitarists over the years. I do. One of them is a Canadian fella, so I'll tell you in a second. So I always wanted to come to America, but I never felt like I was ready. I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't fast enough. Didn't know enough music. I just wasn't enough. I wasn't ready yet. But then there was a bomb that went off in 2003. There was a suicide bomber, actually, that went off in Tel Aviv in a place that the sister bar of the sister company of the bar that I used to play at all the time in Jerusalem. And that kind of struck a chord. And I was like, man, I got to get out of here before someone just blows my arm off next week, maybe tomorrow. I got to get out of here. And that's it. Couple of months. That was in April, I believe. And then in June 25th, if I'm not mistaken, I left and never looked back, came to LA. And
Cool.
We can continue, but I'd love to answer.
Yeah, go for it.
So meeting fellow guitarists over the years. I think my favorite guitarist, I don't know if some of you know him. I hope you do, Hack. Phil X.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I hope these guys know who he is. If you don't know Phil, first of all,
everybody knows Phil X. Yeah.
I live in LA now. Yeah. CK.
Yeah.
So meeting Phil actually leads to the rest of the story of me in LA, or how I got to Smash Mouth, but I'll keep it very succinct. My first gig that I went to see, I met this dude. He was like, dude, come out to Hollywood. There's this great band performing tonight called Powder. I'd never been to Hollywood. I'm just like, okay, I guess. Thanks, you. Felix is a great guitarist, more importantly, a good person. Yeah, good people. So he took me to see a band called Powder, which was Phil's band. I don't know how many of you know that band. Hack, have you heard that music?
Powder, no.
I
have a Phil X story too, by the way.
Oh,
so
yeah.
let's finish yours and I'll give you mine. Yeah.
Gonna show us how to play All Star? Sure. And we can do that at the end for sure. So if I remember, I have to. It's been COVID time, so.
Yeah.
But Phil, so I went to see this band and my mind was blown. I was scared shitless, to be honest. I was like, holy shit. I just basically walked into the Key Club here in LA and saw a packed club, 500, 600, 700 people watching this band on stage that was killing it. Phil, you know him probably with his hair down, but at the time in Powder, he had long hair and spiked it up. The dude is like 6'3", wearing heels, probably at that point 6'8", and then spiked up a foot and a half. The guy was like 10 feet tall and standing on stage, killing the playing, throwing the guitar around, and then singing Back in Black. The last song they did, the encore, was Back in Black, and he was singing it. I was just demolished, man. I was the most discouraged I'd ever been in my life. I could not believe this is what I walked into. I was so unprepared, but little did I know, I was looking at one of the GOATs, right? One of the greatest of all times here.
Right, exactly.
Definitely a Canadian icon, you know. So that was my first encounter. We became friends later, And then I saw him play with his band, The Drills, which I hope some of you know. Really
Yeah,
great band.
the drills
And
I
I
know.
saw when I saw him play with The Drills at that point in time, the drummer that night was another Canadian fella called Randy Cook, which
Mhm.
turned out to be one of my very, very good friends. And other than a bunch of other gigs that he's brought me on over the years, in 2011, he called me up and said, "Hey, man, what are you doing in the next month?" And I said, "Nothing," because if Randy calls, I'm available.
Right, right.
And he was playing with Smash Mouth at the time, and he said, "Okay, well, we're going on tour in Iraq and Kuwait for the troops for 2.5 weeks,
Oh, cool.
and that's happening in 6 days or 5 days, and our guitarist just left. So can you do it?" And I said, "Yeah," and that was my first time playing with Smash Mouth.
Awesome, awesome.
So
So,
what's your Phil X story?
okay, so off air, you're asking where I was from, and I said Toronto.
Right.
Phil X is from Toronto. So, a drummer that I play with, in a band, and unfortunately, he has sight issues, so he can't gig anymore and whatever. But I
Right.
still play with him because he's a phenomenal drummer, and he used to drum with Phil X when Phil X was living in Toronto, when he used to just sort of jam around with guys and whatever, and he had little bands and little projects. And my buddy Mike, who's been on my channel a couple of times on a couple of shows, used to play drums with Phil X.
Wow.
And my joke with Mike is, man, have you fallen from grace? You went from Phil X to playing with Guitar Hack. But anyways, yeah. So that's my Phil X story. And I at the time, you know, I'd walk into music stores and whatever, and sometimes I would see him. And there was a store about 20 minutes away from me, Musicplex, and Phil X was a regular there, kind of used to hang out, and that's when we found out, oh man, Phil X, that's when he was playing, he took over for Rick Emmett, and he was playing with Triumph. I'm going
Mm.
back a few years, right? So Phil X is local, so everybody, well, not anybody that played music like in the 90s or in the bar bands or
Knew
whatever, or
Phil.
jammed around, somebody or some, if not yourself, somebody or somebody you've played with has at some point jammed or played with Phil X. So, because he played with everybody all the time.
Dude, that's how he got to where he is today. I mean, he's an
Yeah.
amazing performer and an amazing guitarist, but I think his greatest asset and an amazing singer. Jesus, that guy doesn't
He's got
stop.
a great, yeah, he's got it all.
But I
A
think his
performer.
biggest asset, the thing that got him, like for me, I can say that my biggest asset is sound engineering, was being able to go in and know how to recreate a sound.
Right.
That's what really got me a bunch of stuff in production and sessions and live shows. But his greatest thing, I think, was knowing so many songs, knowing how to play and sing so many songs. Other than being an exceptional performer and guitarist and singer.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so someone said, no. So you've never met Phil?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I've never met Phil.
Oh. Yeah,
But
he's a
but
really cool guy. Really
yeah,
cool dude.
well, I would love Phil to come on the show. I've asked him, he ignores me, but I'd love him to come on the
Dude,
show.
he's ever since he joined Jovi, I can barely reach that dude. Like for
Yeah,
real, can barely reach him.
he's on a
Yeah,
different level.
he's in a different place. But you think,
Yeah,
considering I'm playing the same arenas, I could reach him. But he's just a busy guy. And you know what, kids. I mean, he's got. I'm married, but we're not doing the kid thing, so I just have a lot more time to hang out with you guys and play guitar and produce. And he's got a family. I totally get it. But someone said here, Hugh said Nanette was an amazing performer. That was his ex-wife. That was the lead singer of Powder. And absolutely, that show was ridiculous. Do yourselves a favor and go look up Powder music,
there you
any
go.
of their songs. It was Cirque du Soleil meets, I don't know, ACDC. I
AC/DC.
mean, just insane. I don't know what she's doing these days. No idea, but that's cool. And then someone asked, what would you say? Sandra, thanks for throwing out my details. Appreciate it. Alexander, what would you say are the differences between American audiences, Canadian audiences, and Israeli audiences, if there are any? Uh, hmm. I'm not going to compare American and Canadian and Israeli. I'll do something else, what I know more, because I haven't performed enough in Canada to really. I've done a lot of American and some Israel. I could tell you this month, but I've done a lot of American, a lot of Europe, and a lot of South America. Americans are good. They're just great. They're just very. They have a great time. South America goes batshit crazy.
Crazy.
Holy shit, man. I hope I can curse on here because like
Yeah.
just they go insane. When they roar, I have my in-ears in and it's deafening. It's just insane. European crowds are just as much fun as America. I don't think there's a huge difference. Yeah. I remember John Bon Jovi once said, I remember watching him on the interview and he said, the difference between American crowds and European crowds is that American crowds know the chords and European crowds know the words. Now, I don't think that's true from my experience. They all know the lyrics, right? They all sing along.
Mm.
But the ones that really stand out for me are the South American crowds. That is just insane. Hugh wants to know, what did Sean think of Nanette from Powder as a performer? I mean, as I said, she was incredible.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, go check it out. Incredible.
So speaking of meeting other guitarists, have you had it? Well, first, who are your guitar heroes, and have you had the opportunity to meet any of them?
Joe Walsh, I can say, was one. And I actually did meet him when I was working. I was working at Guitar Center in the GC Pro department, which also handled artist relations, and he would come in all the time. Doyle Bramhall the third, the one that played with Clapton actually at a certain point. But before he played with Clapton, he would come into the store a lot, and same deal. I think Clapton and anything Floyd, Tom Petty, in general, I'm talking not just necessarily the guitarist, but just the vibe, everything about Petty, everything about Pink Floyd, Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan. If you want to know about today, there are people that I look up to and think, my God, those guys are insane. But I don't watch them all the time. Like I'm not a teenager anymore. I've got too much stuff going on. You know, I'm trying to make a business happen, trying to deal with COVID, trying to, buy houses. I'm an adult now, so I can't dig deep and spend 10 hours a day trying to learn how that dude is playing what he's doing. Because again, today, there are just so many amazing guitarists. And today with YouTube and Instagram, you just go, if you watch enough amazing guitarists, Instagram and YouTube will just send you the next best thing.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling. There are some incredible musicians out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's to hear you say, I'm not, I don't shred and I don't this and I don't that. And yet, you're still out there and you're still doing it and everything else. That's kind of encouraging for a lot of folks who don't have that technical facility. You get, like, I know my limitation. I could never play, even if I started when I was a teen, I could never do that stuff. So
me neither, man.
So for me, it's all about, it's note choice, it's melody, it's, all the other stuff that you can do. Try to be more musical, more melodic. So it's great to hear that I'm not the only one.
No, dude. You know what?
That can't do that stuff.
I'll give you an even better one. Again, I'll mention Randy Cook. I always mention Randy. He's a very good friend, and I love that dude. He's an incredible drummer, and a Canadian from Toronto. So Randy used to do. I've never seen this, but I remember him telling me this at a certain point in our friendship. He shared with me that when he would do clinics, he would start it off with an insane solo, right? Everything, all the chops, just put it all out there. 2-minute, 3-minute solo, had fun doing all kinds of funny things with, and then he would say something to the effect of, if you want to work in music, don't do that. That's not what people need you to do. People need you to just hold down just a tight, let me lower it. They just need you to be able to go. That's it. Just do that without slowing, without going back, with dynamics, with feel. Don't blast your amp. Work with other musicians. Know your part. Know your place in the production. That's what they need from you. Mm-hmm. So they don't need you to go crazy and they just need you to play. They don't, if that's the part, they don't need you to go. They just need you to go.
Right.
That's it. That's just do your job. And that's what he was trying to relay to people, is you don't need to be a shredder. It's nice to be able to shred, but if you're not a shredder, then
it's nice to have that.
You'll still be able to work. In fact, you might have better chances. Randy also played in Ringo All-Star Band. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let me ask you something. When you have to play Don't Stop Believin', how would you approach that? How would you approach that lick, man? So
I'll tell you, Journey songs, I used to play separate ways, right? And dong dong da dong dong da dong da.
I don't know if I know it.
Oh, really? It's on Escape. Anyway, it's a big hit. So there's a signature thing that Neil Sean plays that I can do, and then he just loses his mind for a minute. He just improvises like all over it, and then he comes back to it. And in 100 years, I could never do exactly what he does, but I know what key he's playing. I know what notes he's playing, so I make up my own.
You kind of do your thing.
I have to.
You have to because you can't copy it. The problem is that is a signature. You can't not do that. You have to do that. Figure out how to play it, but you have to play those notes in that fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got lucky with separate ways because the signature thing is a little bit slower. So I could execute it. So yeah. So let's talk about. So I don't know who came first here. Was
Smash Mouth or Enrique?
Smash Mouth or Enrique?
Smash Mouth came in 2011 when Mr. Randy Cook called me up and said, "Hey, can you do that?" Real quick, Hugh wants to know what is Sean's favorite Smash Mouth song to play live. The answer, my favorite Smash Mouth song to play is Padrino, because I have so much respect for Greg Camp for writing that. It's an insane song if you've never heard it. It's like crazy hard to play. I don't like playing that live because it's really hard. It's very fast. It's really fast. But my favorite song is Believer and All-Star, either one, because the fans go crazy. And on that note, Smash Mouth. So Randy just brought me in. Basically, he was like, you guys, we need a guy. This guy can do it. I'm just going to call him and bring him in. So he brought me in, and I played with the guys. And we did the Iraq tour, and then we came back and did some stuff in America. And then they had a few months when they were off. I went off and did another tour with some other band for 2 months. And then Mike Krampus, which is also a Canadian, also in the Randy Cook family, I think also from Toronto. He took over for Smash Mouth, did the Magic album, produced that. They wrote that. And then when him and Randy left at the end of 2012, I came back until 2016. In 2015, a little before I left, before I couldn't do Smash Mouth anymore because they were competing. There were dates. They're competing dates. So, but in 2015, I joined Enrique in August, and I played with Enrique from August of 2015 to last year, basically, where I just had to leave because he wasn't working enough, and Smash Mouth wanted me to come back, and I was like,
yeah.
You know what? Yeah, man, you've got a lot of work. I miss playing rock and roll. Like, it's great playing in front of 85,000 people, and it's such an incredible production. But I kind of miss hanging out with my boys and playing rock and roll.
That's
Playing
got to
light.
be
Yeah,
about as polar opposite as you can get. Smash Mouth over here and Enrique over here.
it really is. It
I mean,
really is.
everything.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about your sounds and all of this, and gear. I'm sure you've got a absolutely completely different rig. Am I right? Going from
had
one to the
had a
other.
completely different rig, but
Yeah.
I've since then I built my rig for Enrique, which was just an AX8 fractal. AX8, for those of you who know fractal audio, what do they do? Not they do the everyone plays this, the rack units, not Kemper. I have a Kemper here, not Kemper. But what does Fractal do? Whoever knows, let me know. But Fractal Audio makes a board called an AX8. I brought that on back in 2016. I brought them on to the Enrique camp and really, really loved them. When I went back, Axe Effects. Thank you, Paul. When I went back to Smash Mouth, I went back to my old rig, which was just pedals with a MIDI switcher going into amps. Right, amps. I forgot
Nice.
how those sound.
Real amps. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. But real fast, I decided, okay, I'm just going to get another Axe Effects for this gig and do it with that. And it's been great. There are a few things the AX8 doesn't do as well, like the whammy function. I use whammy a lot in certain parts in Smash Mouth, believe it or not. And it doesn't do it as well. I miss my old rig, but at the same time, the Axe Effects is a lot more. The AX8, the fractal audio, is a lot more. I don't know. It's easier to deal with on the road.
Convenient.
It's convenient.
consistency.
Thank you. Consistent. Exactly. Thank you.
It's convenience and consistency. I know.
Yeah.
Like I bought a HX a Helix, but just the HX effects, right?
Right.
And it's just that thing, right? It's like, when you hit it, you're always going to get that same sound. It's never going to change.
Same sound and same level. That's the most important thing, because when you're dealing with multiple pedals, just a little twist is going to mean, and you have in-ears, and that little twist is going to be such a difference in your ears. You're going to be going to hit that solo, and suddenly your ears are going to be like, why am I 3 dB louder? Now 3 dB is not that much, but it really is when you're dealing with in-ears. When you hear suddenly you're playing the solo and you can't hear that snare or the hi-hat because you're just 3 dB louder, but it's that much too much. So the Axe Effects is,
you just brought up another question, because I get asked this all the time, and Alexander Rocker's got a question that I'll address here in a minute.
I see it.
So, because I get asked this all the time, when you play, who do you play with in the band? And I always say I play with the drummer.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, so it's not just me.
No, that's the most important thing to me when I'm doing this little part.
You're listening for the snare.
All I want to do is hit.
Yeah.
I'm making sure that I nail that with the drummer. Because everyone else the bass player is playing with the drummer. So if we're both playing with the drummer, now I'm listening to everyone, of course.
Right.
But that's what I'm playing with. I'm trying to nail that hi-hat or nail that bass drum or make sure that the drummer 100%.
Yeah. Just to get that groove. And it's funny because you mentioned the bass player. The only time I'll even notice the bass player is if he hits a bum note.
True.
Right?
It's true.
Because if he's playing the right, it's like it's just there. The platform is there, but it's only if he hits a bum note, and you get that, what the hell is that kind of thing, right? But that's it.
And you're actually touching on something that I say to people. If I do my job when I go to play, I'm a hired gun, I go to play with Smash Mouth, or I go to play with Enrique. Like, I'm going to play with Enrique at a certain point. Maybe they call me back to sub. They call me a few times. I couldn't do it. But let's say there's a sub situation. I go and sub for the guy. Mm-hmm. My job is to do exactly what you just said. My job is to blend in as if the guy that I'm replacing for the moment never even left. if I not even screw up, but if I play different, if I bring Sean into it, I'm not doing my job specifically for that. If it's my band, yeah, you want to play you, but and in Smash Mouth, I definitely play like myself now. I'm not trying to do Greg Camp all the time. I definitely it sounds like Smash Mouth playing with Sean Hurwitz, but I try to represent as much as I can of the original tones.
Right, right.
And actually, I wanted to mention you were talking about playing with the drummer. Um, so it ain't no joke. I'd like to buy the world a token, teach you world to sing in perfect harmony. I'll teach it right. The Smash Mouth song. So don't delay. Right. So when I'm playing that, it ain't no joke.
Yeah.
My job, what I'm trying my best to do, other than smile and perform, is nail that snare. That I want to bury that snare. Randy is burying that click. I want to bury the snare with those hits. That's my job at that point in time. So yeah, Alexander.
Let's look at this question. Yeah, questions for both Sean and Hack. What are most enjoyable and least enjoyable things about being on the road and playing live gigs, both on stage and behind the scenes? So most enjoyable and least enjoyable.
Yeah, you take it first.
Well, I don't exactly play on the road. I'm a bar band guy. Well, I guess that means I drive from point to point, but that's not really playing on the road. But the least enjoyable is, I think, teardown at the end of the night. Really, for me, because we don't have roadies. We do it all ourselves. Is really that is the teardown. At the end of the night, and and there are times when you get a bad house and then you just kind of want to get out of there, and that could just, for whatever reason, some nights are just magic and some nights you just have a bad house. So that's really it. Most enjoyable. There's nothing like you're up there and you got a bunch of people and they're just smiling and having a great time, and that's the biggest rush in the world for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, man, there are so many things that I enjoy. I mean, I love touring. Sincerely, love getting on flights. Love getting on a bus. Some people hate flying or hate the bus. I happen to love them both, man. I don't like 35-hour days when you're traveling to Asia and you have 3 layovers. That can be hell, man. And one of your layover is a 9-hour layover, and you're after 20-hour flying, you're just like, who booked this? You're just like, everyone's just like, what do we do? And then someone calls a production and we get an okay to all get hotel rooms or whatever, because it's just ridiculous. Like we're in Dubai we've been traveling for 20 hours. There's 9 hours before the next flight. What are we supposed to do? Like, what did you think was going to happen? These are not kids. Everyone here is in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Like, we're adults, professionals. Like, what do you just expect us to sit on our asses on the floor and at least get us some, I don't know, something? Like, come on. But that happened once in my life, so that's not something that happens often. So, but I love flying. I love everything. If I had to say the most enjoyable thing to me, is actually meeting the fans, is actually meeting people that paid for the show, that I got to perform in front of, that took it all in, and they're just loving it. And they all have their own stories. Some of them are musicians, some of them are architects, some of them just work at Starbucks or Burger King. But they all have their fascinating story. And to me, that's my favorite thing. Honestly, as far as the most least enjoyable, insanely long and drawn out sound checks. Not necessarily because of the sound engineers; they might be ready, but sometimes you just have to wait for the artist. Not necessarily Enrique or Smash Mouth, but sometimes the musicians are there, sound is ready to go, and you're just waiting for the artist. Every person that has played with a big artist knows this. It happens, not all the time, but it does happen. And and you'll wait for 2-3 hours. Just okay, guys, just hang tight. We'll call you on stage as soon as they get here.
Yeah.
That's the part that I hate the most, and it's yeah, I don't hate the most. It's just the most unenjoyable.
Waiting around to play.
Yes.
Just waiting around to play.
Paul says, "Love my AX8." Yeah, man, me too. We had 6 of them with Enrique, 2 on stage, and then we had multiple spares. And let's see, and then I bought one for what do you call it? For Smash Mouth because I loved it so much.
All right, so let's talk about the production side of things. And you were saying that you're heavily involved with making up cues for films and commercials and all that kind of thing. And
yeah,
let's talk a little bit about that. How did that
sure.
come about?
Well, when I was in Guitar Center, I'll try to kind of put it all together. When I was in Guitar Center, I'm a very logical thinker. I'm a very planned guy. When I got here, the first day I was like, okay, I landed here. Now I have to find a job. I got to get a cell phone. I got to get a place to live. I got to find a job. I got to get a car. And that day at 4:00 in the afternoon, I went and got a newspaper at the time, and it was in a newspaper, and just started crossing out all or checking out all these things cars I wanted to check out, places I needed to go to live. I have a goal. I'm very goal oriented, and I just make a goal and I go for it, or multiple goals. So with that in mind, I forgot what the question was.
the production,
right,
the cues. And
so one of my goals was to be a musician here, and at working at Guitar Center, I met a lot of musicians that used to play some huge bands and venues, and then they were coming and working under me. I was the department manager, and I was telling them, hey, can you go grab some Diodario 9s and fill the hole here? And I always felt super weird about it. And, talking to people, I would be like, I figured out what went wrong. And what went wrong is usually, Hugh, I can show you some guitars. I'd be happy to.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I really found out that 90% of the time was that these people didn't invest their money responsibly, or they didn't invest. Wow. They didn't think long term. And the music gig ends at a certain point. I won't be touring, and so it's really important to not invest your money. I mean, yeah, that's important, but the point is to think long term. And I found out that one of the ways to do things long term is to get writing and publishing, writing songs. So I got into that. That's basically how I got into it. I started writing with some people. Slowly started getting through the people that I was writing, slowly started getting stuff placed on TV and film. Long story short, I wrote from 2006 to 2014, and then I took a break for a few years. And in 2017 or 2016, I sold my whole catalog, all of my songs, sold all of them, bought some real estate. And then a few years ago, I think 2017, if I'm not mistaken, I started a whole new catalog, and that's the 200 songs a year goal. Haven't hit it yet.
Right.
But yeah, but to this, I have over 400 songs that I wrote in the last few years, and they're all over the world and all kinds of places, on TV, on YouTube, Facebook, movies, all over the place. That's how I got into it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, because you gotta, especially a musician nowadays, you totally have to diversify. You cannot rely on one income stream.
And you know what? I'll take this opportunity, if you don't mind, to just say, actually, tomorrow, so I have a YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, Sandra's been
link is below.
Yeah, link is below. Thank you. And Sandra's also been pinging it or promoting it. And there I talk about a lot of stuff. I put out things right now. I'm putting out things on Mondays and Thursdays. And last Thursday was about diversifying. And hey, we're in COVID era. Thank you, Mr. Rock, for subbing. We're in COVID era, and it's like, what do musicians do to get through this? And I talk about exactly that, diversifying, and how important it is. So we don't have to get into that, but I have a YouTube out there. I do some stuff where I show people stuff of mine and how I did things that are on TV and film that I licensed.
Oh, that's cool.
I do stuff. I talk a lot about the music business, how to get out there, the things that I learned over the years, all kinds of stuff like that. It's fun stuff, and I'm always looking for more. So please feel free to tell us. Let's answer this one, and then maybe.
See some guitars? Yeah. What's
Yeah. Preston says lost my guitar students. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, it sucks.
yeah,
What's your
that's
favorite
yeah.
song? My favorite song I've written, man, I don't remember. I've written like literally over 1,000. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've written a lot, and I'm constantly every week I'm writing more. I wish I had an answer for that. But yeah, let's look at some guitars.
Let's look at some guitars. Yes.
So this is let me pull up my so I can because I'm looking at you, but let me just pull up myself so I can see what I'm showing people.
So I'm gonna feature you to make you solo layout. Here we go.
Awesome. So this guitar is one of my favorites. It's a Shabbat guitars for those of you in the know.
Oh yes, we know Shabbat.
So Shabbat guitars, Avishai Shabbat is a friend of mine from Jerusalem.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and he lives right down the road. You know, in LA, that's half an hour away. But you know, he lives about 20-minute drive, and I've got three guitars of his and 4 guitars in general that he made me. One of them, he used to work in a company called LSL Instruments, which you guys probably know as well. LSL Instruments, and he built me this guitar, this Telly, for when I joined Smash Mouth. I had 4 days, and I needed a Telly. So they made me a Telly. And that's when he worked for LSL Instruments for Lance. And then he started his own company. So this, I don't know a lot. I don't know enough about. Well, I know the pickups because we switched them out to Fishman's. The latest Fishman's, the quiet ones, amazing. But this was my main guitar with Enrique. If you look at any of my shows that I've done with Enrique or anything like that on my YouTube channel, you'll see me use this guitar or my Maton guitar right there. I'll show you in a second. Or a nylon string guitar of a company that doesn't exist anymore called Merida. But so I don't know the details on this, but I can tell you that I wish I could turn off all the lights for a second. You would see all this light up. I have this on my main guitars.
Oh, okay.
With little dots that light up. They're not inlays in there. They're actually put on stickers, and it's crazy important in the dark.
Yes.
But I love this guitar, and like I said, Fishman's. Does anyone know what kind of Fishman's are the quiet ones? I'm not sure. I don't remember offhand, but they hooked me up. Really nice guys. I have Avi take off all the stuff here that'll finish. Just because it sticks to my hands. And yeah, that's it. Beautiful guitar.
It's nice.
With Smash Mouth, my first guitar that Avi made me, Shabbat guitars again, is this one. This is all man-made by me. It was nice. It was nice and, it was nice and black at the time when I got it. It's so that one's a lion. No, this one's a lion, and that's a lynx, if I'm not mistaken. Same thing here. If you'll notice the all those up here,
the dots, yeah.
Yeah, and if you notice the back here, how so they stripped the finish off.
That looks like it's got a little thicker neck than the first one you showed.
Yes, absolutely,
okay.
And that's one of the reasons you point out a great point. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to play this on the Enrique gig. The Enrique gig is all about finesse. I didn't want to fight the guitar when I need finesse on my side. But these are rock guitars, man.
Right, yeah.
This and its sister that you're about to see are my freaking Road Warriors, dude. And this thing, I mean, you could see the damage. I know. Let me see if I can even show you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if but you can see the damage.
You can see it. Oh, yeah.
It's definitely like layered. It's like layered. There we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this has lasted me. This is number 4. And, sorry, Maiden. And this is the sister that he made because we play an E and E flat. So I've got the E guitar, that one. And this is the E flat guitar with Smash Mouth. You'll notice the same situation here. And I have to put a new one on here because it's coming off. Here, let's just take that off. And this is number 15, and it's also been through a lot, but not as much as the other one.
No, yeah.
Not as much as the other one.
You definitely play a lot more in E than E flat, by the looks of that.
You know what? No, I actually play more in E flat. No, you're right. hardcore songs, the famous songs, All Star and Believer, and um, what's that one called? What's it called? Can't get enough of you, baby. Can't get enough of you, baby. That one, they're all in E flat. So the hits are in E flat, but the rock ones are in E, and I get to destroy guitars.
Yeah.
So those are my favorites. Obviously, I've got a bunch of other ones. Got another LSL Topanga that I love. P90s.
Oh yeah. It's got this junior look to it.
D'Angelico, I use this a lot for sessions, for clean stuff. I forget
That's
what.
beautiful. Blonde top.
Beautiful,
I love it.
beautiful, beautiful guitar. I forget. Let me see here. This is an EXDC model, and it is gorgeous to play. Got a little six string banjo here. Got some stuff in the back too. One of my favorite guitars, I don't know if you're familiar with it, is this Maiden. Do you guys? That'll do. You know Maiden guitars from Australia?
I've never heard of it. That sounded very nice.
Dude, check this out. I went with Smash Mouth to Australia in 2013, and they sprung on us, hey guys, can you do an acoustic show on the morning news? And they're like, yeah, we can do it. We just, get us some acoustic instruments. So they brought me like a Taylor and a Maiden. And I was like, Maiden? Did they just bring me a knockoff Martin? Really? Like, that's what they brought me? Anyway, then I played that thing. Holy cow, man. It is a beautiful, beautiful, everything they make is just gorgeous guitars, Australian made, called Maiden. Yeah. They look like that, little kangaroo.
Yeah, very cool, man.
Yeah, and just a beautiful, very well-balanced guitar. It's one of the only guitars that I've had them give me in my in-ears where I'm just like, wow, there's not too much bass. It's not too sparkly.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful balance.
You don't need any compression on that. Everything is even.
Yeah. It's just the way it should be, the way it's supposed to sound.
Yeah, I can hear that, yeah.
Yeah, I also have Eastman guitars. I have a few Eastman guitars. I've got some Dobros, mandolin, ukulele, Eastman ukulele. I love Eastmans. See, Eastman is a company that actually here in California, they sound great acoustic. I record so much with that guitar, but when you plug them in, it's less than what I want. It's not like that. So yeah. I think I showed you most of the guitar. Like, I've got other guitars that are in the back. I've got a baritone there, and I had just a bunch of stuff, and also some basses, Schecter basses, and I've got some stuff in the closet here. But these are the main ones that I use on a daily basis. And now I want to see your pretty face. Bring yourself back.
Okay, hang on a second. So I have to figure out how to do that. Exit. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, and I guess you need all those tools and things that for all the different sounds you want when you're recording your all your music, right? Because you need a lot of variety, I would imagine, with all of the different styles.
You need to give them the sound that they want, the sound that they're looking for. And by the way, Quentin says, pretty sure Tommy Emmanuel plays Maiden guitars. Not only does he play Maiden guitars, that's his Maiden guitar model.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's
So that's a signature model. Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Can you say
we're sorry, we're at an hour and 20, so we've gone over the hour. No, it's fine. It's cool. Like I said, if we go longer, it's cool. So I just wanted to let everybody know, if you've got any questions for Sean, now's the time to throw them in. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, I just want to mention, I want to thank everybody. First of all, we got 40 people watching right now.
Me too, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, man, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for checking out the show. Thank you, Sean, for being here. If you folks would like to support the Guitar Hack channel, below I also have links to the Guitar Hack store. There are coffee mugs there. There's T-shirts there. There's hoodies and all kinds of stuff. So if you want to support the channel, that would be great. There's also a PayPal down there if you want to support the channel in that way. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, an Instagram, my email. Everything is down there. So if you're not part of my Facebook page, my Facebook group, or Instagram, please check those out as well.
Yeah.
Preston, I don't have that big a coffee mug. And the
Talking
Guitar
about
Hack
mine?
store. Yeah. I have regular size coffee mugs, but you could always buy more than one and just kind of like two fist, I guess. I don't know what else to say.
Oh, someone
about
mentioned
that.
I had a Fender amp behind me. Yeah, that's I love the Deluxes and DeVilles. Those are cool. My favorite amps are actually Bogner's. That's my go-to.
Oh, really, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Love Bogner.
I got to ask you this because everybody, and this will be the last question for me. I got to ask you this because I'm a huge Gibson guy, as you could probably tell. And you did not mention a Gibson in your arsenal.
I did not, because my Gibson is it's in a Hard Rock Cafe somewhere down south. If you look, if any of you kind of go down the rabbit hole of Sean Hurwitz's Instagram or YouTube or anything, you will notice at a certain point that I'm playing let me see, I actually think I might have a picture for you guys.
What model is it?
It was just a studio. It was, oh yeah,
Okay.
I do. Let me see if I can blow it up. Come on. Yes. Let me see. Let me see what you guys are seeing.
I'm gonna have to feature you again, okay?
Let's.
It's
Oh,
it's
no,
too
you know
bright.
what? You know what? Here we go. I did this last time.
Oh, there we go.
So
Oh,
it's a swamp ash guitar that I had. There we go. It's even sort of focused now.
Yeah. Cool.
And I have someone building me Traverse Guitars is building me a Les Paul right now. I'll show you some of the stuff he's been sending me. He's been sending me some really. Because Avi Shabbat doesn't make the Les Paul style yet, but I did want one like that. You know what? I've never had. Oh my God, AC/DC. What's the SG? I've never had an SG, and I want an SG. As far as Les Pauls, they're great. I haven't had one in a while. I'll show you guys. Will like this. So he's making me this beautiful piece of wood. I will make it low again. Let me see real quick.
All right, let me
and lower this.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
It's a beautiful, gorgeous. You can't really see the definition, but it's a beautiful piece of wood that he's making. We're making it like it's gonna be like a tobacco burst.
Nice.
So yeah, it's being built for me right now.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played Les Pauls, but I want an SG in a certain point, and I definitely miss having a Les Paul in the arsenal. But between us, I paid like $650 for that guitar through GC. I got the employee discount, and they paid me like $4,000 for it. So it's just a numbers game, man. I was just like, I can buy another guitar for that. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay, we got one question here. Guitar Hack and Sean Hurwitz, what places did you two have great memories playing at?
Wait, say that again. I didn't see that. Well, say it again. Oh, I see. What places
did you play at?
Yeah, you go first, please.
For me, the biggest rush would have been playing probably. There's a big, like a park attraction place here in Toronto called Ontario Place, and they had a bandshell stage, and then you had like a pool of water, and then the stands behind it. And I got this. That was amazing. That was probably my highlight. Yeah.
I mentioned these two before. Vandy Man actually asked, "What were my two amazing shows?" But so I had mentioned the 85,000 people in Kiev
Yeah.
in the stadium there, an arena. No, stadium was the most people I've played for. But I have to say that my most memorable one, or the one that I have great memories playing at, is Hayalkon Park in Israel, just because I'm
Yeah.
from Israel. And I mean, dude, we all have that dream, right? Imagine
Mm.
you're in Israel, you're in Toronto, and you leave Toronto to go to LA. Don't you want to come back like Phil X? Don't you want to come like with Bon
Oh
Jovi?
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
it's the dream. So
Oh,
that,
totally. I totally get
for
that.
me, that was that. So I
So
thankfully got to experience. I'm a very lucky guy. I got a chance to do that dream that we all have.
so
Some Bobby said, gave you a sub, Sean. You like to talk, I like to listen. Happy I can help.
Andy Dion is asking Sean, what band was the best to tour with?
Man, touring is so like as fun. I probably Smash Mouth. I want to say Smash Mouth is the most fun band to tour with, just because it's so much more of a family.
Mm.
Whereas Enrique, it's 30 people in the production. When we were on tour, it was 100 people in the production because we were two bands and everyone's. So it gets a lot. It gets
Mm.
to be a lot. So Smash Mouth is more small and fun and rock, and everyone has a good time. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
miss my Enrique people, but and I'd love to go play with them again. But I am happy to play with Smash Mouth again. I miss those guys.
Cool, cool. All right, so Sean, before we wrap up here, is there anything that you wanted to mention? Anything you've got upcoming? Any other links or web page or Facebook other than your YouTube?
Um, no, I mean, I don't have a lot coming up considering COVID.
Yeah,
I'm doing a lot here in the studio. I'm doing a lot. We do have shows here and there, but like I had mentioned to you in private, it's more like private shows. They're really nothing like we're not bringing in 5,000 people into a place to come see a
yeah,
festival. It is smaller crowd, so it really isn't anything like that. And the stuff that I do for TV and film is not really anything that people can watch. I think the most that people will get from me is by first of all, well, YouTube is a great resource. You can watch all that stuff, comment, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I get back to everyone. So whether you hit me up on YouTube, which I'd appreciate because the algorithm likes me more at that point, but whether you do it there or whether you do it and you know about algorithms, right? I can
yeah.
see the smile.
As soon as you
Um,
said algorithm,
yeah. But I think the
yeah,
best way to reach me, and there's SeanHurwitz.com, but really the best way to reach me is just Instagram. Any of you, feel free to hit me up. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to answer anything and everything. Someone asked, by the way, would you tour Canada, Toronto, when time will allow that? I tour with wherever they take me, man. They take me to Kuwait, I go there. They take me to Toronto, I go there.
yeah, yeah. All right, so thanks everybody for watching the show. Much appreciated. I want to thank Sean for doing this. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully, you had a good time
Thank
as
you.
well.
I
And
absolutely
yeah,
did.
awesome. So we'll catch you all next week. So next week, folks, we are doing a Judas Priest show. It will be myself, Martin Popoff, the author Martin Popoff, who's written a couple of books on Judas Priest actually, and Pete Pardo, and we're going to be doing our a Judas Priest top 10 albums. So that's coming up next Wednesday. So check that out. Until then, everybody have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks, Hank.
Cheers, everybody. Take care.